Hey, Scott Jordan and Mark Warner here for Jancast number 142 for Thursday, March 16th, 2023. Mark, you've been traveling around and doing a bunch of other stuff, but we've had some pretty big hits on Jancast in the last couple of weeks. Actually, it was so popular that the YouTube algorithm actually cut back our hits because we reported we had 1,000 hits on 1,000 plus on show number 140, and I'm keeping track of it, and then it goes back down to 600. So I did some research, and apparently YouTube has something that if your rate goes up too fast, they think it's fake. And so they cut. I don't know how they know what to cut it back to, but we're back on track now to break 1,000 again. But thank you for everybody that was watching or has watched in the past. And if you missed the show number 140, hey, join the crowd, right?
It's amazing that everybody looks at those statistics as though they're true statistics, and
well,
find out that somebody can arbitrarily say, let's just roll it back. Let's just roll it up,
Yeah. Well, in our case, they were real views because thanks to Jeff and his connections through ISSA and stuff, he brought a lot of new viewers to it. So really good. I'm really surprised we didn't hear more about the can farting spread germs, because
I heard that was breaking news.
I don't think most people picked up on that, but I gotta tell you, I don't know who wrote that copy, but man, that guy's a genius. Just saying. So what's in the news out there, Mark? We got some good stuff that we were involved in, right?
Yeah, some really good stuff. We've always talked about how what we're trying to do is spread some knowledge and help the industry with the Jancast.com podcasting to a cleaner and healthier world. But, there's a lot of things that we're doing behind the scenes too, trying to help the industry. And we did a concrete polishing training event at Lehigh Career and Technical Institute, which was something we did as a way of offering a career path into the cleaning industry for the graduating students coming out of Lehigh Career and Technical Institute. And as great as that sounded, we ended up getting a lot of other folks intrigued to help with this cause, which had no cost at all to any of the attendees or to Lehigh Career and Technical Institute. But we ended up partnering up with of course, Aztec, which is an equipment company that focuses on some very high-end propane equipment, and some equipment that's quite specifically suited for polishing concrete. And it gave us the opportunity to work with our partners, a line that we carry, the Curecrete line, which is all about polishing and densifying concrete and specialty concrete care products that care for concrete and make it stronger rather than degreasers that can tend to make concrete weaker and degrade it. So it worked out great with all these partners. It turned out that there were dozens of students as well as all kinds of faculty involved with Lehigh County Community College, as well as Lehigh Career and Technical Institute, checking out what was going on. And there was a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. And ISSA picked up on the press release, and they just published it and put it out there, and which was very great. Very, very grateful that Jeff Cross and the media team and Graham and others were took a hold of it and kind of put it out there. I'd love to see this happen at a greater scale. I'd love to see other career and technical institutes go down the path of introducing the arts and sciences of cleaning as being a viable trade and career path.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see, other of our affiliate partners get involved in a program like this to help them. So I think it for us, and where it fits as business people, we've always believed that a rising tide lifts all ships. And so to promote the benefits of these kinds of things and the benefit of the cleaning industry as a career helps everyone. And we benefit as well. Yeah. So I think that's a pretty cool way to approach the world and to approach life and thanks for letting me say a few words about
Yeah.
it.
Well, we'll put a link to the press release that's on the ISSA site below. I think it's fantastic. As we all know, the trades are having a real hard time in general. I mean, just finding somebody a plumber, let's say, and this is even more specialized. But there's, you and I talked about with a couple of the people from Creek Clean, the Curecrete, the parent company, about all these buildings that we see going up in our areas, 200, 300,000 square foot warehouses, and somebody's got to maintain these places. And this is a perfect opportunity for people to get in on that level and probably make a half decent living, I would think.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Actually, a special shout out to the folks involved. It was Jim Varnell and Roy Bowman and Brett Carmen, who were technical advisors for the whole program and actually did all the demonstrations chemically. And Bill Gomez of Aztec Equipment was present and ran the equipment. And, needless to say, we had our own team there. There was Steve DeVito and Blair Thomas, and of course myself. So that all came together with the folks there at Lehigh Career and Technical Institute, Jeff Dahl and his team of supervisors and department heads and all that. So a nice little shout out to those guys. Thank you for everything they did to make that happen in such a magnificent way. Yeah,
let's multiply it around the country, right? Yep. Cool. What else is going on out there? Anything we need to worry about? No.
Well, we've always talked about things like infectious diseases, COVID, SARS-CoV-2. We started back in the day talking about different types of bacteria, and then SARS-CoV-2 came along, and the whole conversation kind of shifted into talking about viruses and how you can't kill them, you can only inactivate them, and it took us down a really deep path in our battle against SARS-CoV-2 virus, which causes COVID. And there's a couple other viruses then kind of popped up on the scene that we started talking about, like CRE and all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, Scott, in the news, everybody's saying, but what about fungus? And we're like, wait, what? What are you talking about?
You mean mushrooms?
And it turns out that that's been a kind of the biggest thing going on inside the healthcare community and infection control is that there are certain types of funguses that spread through the healthcare community that they're kind of focusing on now. It's a big concern. One of them is Candida auris, which is something that I know a lot of the people that I'm involved with on the S410 Infection Control Standards Committee talk about. That's what healthcare is worried about. But there's others. There's like black mold. We've been worried about Stachybotrys for years as mold in walls and construction components. But, there's another one that's out there, Scott, that may affect one of my favorite pastimes.
Well, you're talking about the Jack Daniels fungus?
That's the one.
I can. What's the first? You're going to have to help me because you're the expert. It's
Bedonia campenensis.
Bedonia. That's the easy way. What's the second one?
Campenensis. But what it is, it's kind of an airborne fungus that's somehow been fermenting and cultivating in the barrel buildings of Jack Daniels
and warehouses.
It's getting airborne and kind of concerning people down there. My biggest concern is it might taint my Jack Daniels. I don't want that to happen.
Well, some of the pictures I saw, that it's like all over the stop signs and stuff. It's like, really? And people are just kind of like, don't worry about it. But so the spokesman says, while we're accustomed to microflora, we appreciate that some may not like how it looks and the inconvenience it might present. Based on the information available, we believe it's not harmful to individuals or their property. So that's nothing to worry about. There you go. Yep. So,
well, the good news is I've heard no word that in any way it was going to mar the flavor of Jack Daniels.
So
I'm okay.
So my personal solution to this problem is Jefferson's Ocean barreled. So this stuff is put in barrels and then they put it on a ship and they drive it around the world for a while. It's not cheap. Really good though. But I don't think any of those ships are having mold problems out there. At least I haven't heard about it yet. So if you want an alternative to the Jack, you can go for Jefferson's Ocean. Good stuff. Just saying. And based on our previous Jancast where we call out specific products like Corona beer and stuff, this could end up being huge. 30,000 views just because I mentioned Jack Daniels, or we mentioned Jack Daniels, and then the Jefferson. So
yes,
not that we're pumping the PR thing here,
and we also mentioned that's one of our favorite pastimes. So
correct, and we'd hate to have it stop because
it's 5 o'clock somewhere, Scott. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. But with that said, and like the whole fungal thing, there's some weird funguses out there too. There's something going on in India that they're calling black fungus. That one actually has a lot of people in the healthcare community kind of shook.
Well, based on the mortality rate, I would think so, right?
It's a 50% mortality rate, turns skin and bone black. So that's that 50% mortality rate. We consider a lethal epidemic of the common flu 15%. That's scary, really? Rather than 2 or 3%. So when you get up to stuff like 50%, it's that's like crazy level of mortality rate. That gets along the level of things like Ebola, right? So that's kind of scary. And of course, the only thing I can think of scarier than that is the Last of Us zombie apocalypse fungus, which is a TV show,
I've not seen it
HBO show, but it's all about this fungus that invades human beings and takes over their brains and their eyes and stuff.
Nice.
And the crazy thing is, it's based on a real fungus that doesn't invade humans, but invades insects. And takes over insects. And
caution to the viewers: don't do a Google search unless you're ready for some of the pictures when you do the Google search on that one. It's pretty scary.
There's pictures of a Carolina leaf crawler cricket that looks just like one of the stars on the the Last of Us show, and a picture of a spider and a moth. But the good news, Scott, there's good news. Is it only survives up to 80 degrees, and human beings currently run at 98.6. So we are 16 degrees above what it's able to survive in. So we can thank our lucky stars that it doesn't invade humans.
Well, with global warming, it'll only take a few years then for it to adapt, right?
But with all this said, there are things that we can do to make sure that we're having the proper defense against zombie apocalypse from fungus or any of the others. Obviously NIOSH has its own rules and regulations regarding safety equipment and masks and gloves and all that stuff. But what it really does boil down to is what we've been talking about, Scott, for years, and that is the need for extreme cleanliness. So none of this stuff can happen if it's not in our environment, in our buildings, to harm us. So extreme cleanliness, I think, is going to become part of the marching orders as we move forward. And that does not point to the healthcare community. That does not point to first responders. It points to the cleaning industry. The cleaning industry is what has the ability to help maintain levels of extreme cleanliness and minimize the threat of bacteria, viruses, and fungus. So anyway, that just means that what we do in the cleaning industry isn't just make things look and smell nice, Scott. We don't just protect assets and restore them back to looking like new and create longevity to their useful life. We actually save lives.
And don't forget, extreme cleanliness, trademark of the Bullen companies.
Perfect.
And then coming up, just to round out the show, coming up in a couple weeks is National Cleaning Week, March 26th through April 1st. That's Sunday to Saturday, and we will be putting out information on promoting that each day of National Cleaning Week with a different video segment out there. So that's all good. And that was this National Cleaning Week was started by the ISSA 4 years ago. So pretty cool that it's gaining a lot of momentum, and they're going around the country trying to get the governments of the governors of states to declare it, on that level as well. So that's pretty exciting. But we'll be able to talk about that in more detail at the next Jancast.
Well, John Noder of the ISSA did a webinar recently talking about how all of us in the cleaning industry ought to be leveraging this cleaning week, National Cleaning Week coming up. And about, I think about a quarter to a third of the states in the United States have actually adopted it as a statewide proclamation. And we need other states to do that too. And all of this helps our industry by just elevating the awareness that there's an art and a science to cleaning.
Yep.
And there's a difference between, an amateur cleaning their home and a professional that cleans a commercial built environment.
Yep.
So I think all of that just stands to help all of us.
Yep. That and the value of clean as well. So, well, nice chatting with you, Mark. We got another Jancast in the can, as they say. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. And we'll be back to you soon, and watch out for the fungus, but you can always counteract it. Just saying.
I think that's a good idea.
Maybe not right now, but later today. There you go. Okay, folks. Everybody have a good time. Good couple weeks. We'll see you at the next Jancast.